Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, we're going to take some inspiration from one of my players, the absolute rock god, Michael Schenker, and how they used a wah in their traditional setup to help their solos really cut through a mix. On today's video, we're on the FM9. I'm playing a Les Paul standard with some PAF style humbuckers in it through the FM9 into Pro Tools, no post-processing, and I'm using the Plexi 50 watt 6CA7 jumped amp model. You can see I've just kind of played around with the EQ, kind of classic Plexi stuff, no advanced tweaks going on here. In the cab block, I've loaded up my go-to LT TV Mix 7 cab IR. You can grab this one for free from Exchange. I've got a low cut at 80 Hertz, a high cut at 8K. If you watch this series, pretty standard stuff over there. For the reverb, I'm using the Music Hall because I've kind of based this preset off Michael's Strangers in the Night guitar tone, and you can hear a big kind of reverb and ambient room sound on that particular record. I've got a bit of tape delay over here if I want it as well, but for now, let's just hear the starting point for this particular tone. I'll put this up on Exchange on the bridge humbucker. If you're using a guitar with slightly hotter or more modern pickups, you might want to turn the input trim on the amp block down a little bit. But with this guitar, this is what we get. Now, there's more than enough gain to play a guitar solo with right there. In fact, if I was just going to use this setup live, I would probably set up the rhythm guitar tone the way it is, but I would back my volume control off on my guitar to about 7 just to clean it up a bit. Then when I play a solo, volume goes up and I'm good to go. However, anyone who's a Michael Schenker fan will know that Michael used to use a wah pedal and leave it at a fixed position. This way, you are going to be boosting a very specific set of frequencies, namely some mid-range frequencies that sound great with electric guitar, hitting the front of the amp with that and giving yourself this lovely kind of vocal guitar tone that really sits nicely in a dense mix. So what I'm going to do before I dial it in, I'm going to give you an example. You're going to hear this preset as it is on some lead stuff. Then I'm just going to kick in a fixed wah, and you can hear how much it just makes the guitar jump out of the speakers, and it sounds very in your face. I love it, and it sounds like this. I'll show you how I did that. Really straightforward. Let's add a wah block right at the start of this preset. I'm going to go with the Crybaby type just because that's a real world wah that I'm quite familiar with. Normally, if I was setting up a wah to use with an expression pedal, I would right click this control parameter and assign it to my expression pedal. In this case, we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave the wah block on, and we're going to sweep this control parameter manually until we find the part of the sweep that sounds best. Some of this on its own is going to sound quite gnarly and quite offensive, but that's what you want to make the guitar really jump in the mix like we heard before. So we'll hear the bypass tone, then I'll kick it in and just turn control to the point where I think it sounds really good for a lead guitar sound. Somewhere around 4.5 is what I went for in the example you heard earlier. As I said though, on its own, that sounds a little bit extreme, but you heard in the context over a backing track that it takes your guitar sound that you already like and it just really pushes it into the foreground, which for a solo like that, or in general for a guitar solo, is something you want. The other advantage here is, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't use a wah the way we normally set it up on the fractal and just kind of sweep it down to the right position. That works pretty well. The reason I like this is I can just assign that to a foot switch and turn it on and off, and I've instantly got my mid-forward boosted guitar tone in there. Now, of course, you could achieve a similar thing by boosting, say, 800 to 1000 hertz with a graphic or parametric EQ. That stuff works really, really nicely. What I like about the wah, though, is I have one knob to turn, and I turn that until it sounds good. I don't need to know what frequencies I'm boosting. I just turn it until it sounds good and until it works over the track I'm playing. One extra little hack on here is you can use the level control over here to give yourself even more of a boost. So if I turn that up, say, to around 6 dB, this is what it's going to do. It's going to give me that very specific frequency boost plus an overall gain boost on there. We get this. I particularly like this in front of a Marshall style amp model. Basically any high gain amp model, this is going to work really, really well. It probably works best when your amp already has some saturation going on, but it's not in the insane oversaturated gain mode. It also probably won't be that appropriate for too many things if you're running it in front of a very clean amp. I think from something kind of crunchy to something really starting to get fiery is where you're going to like it best. It's a classic trick as used by, as I said, one of my favorite players, one of the greatest rock soloists of all time, Michael Schenker. Like I said on last week's video, where we kind of took a Gilmour rig apart and built it up again using the Axe effects. It's fun to take your favorite players' rigs as inspiration and then implement them in the Axe effects. The great thing with this as well, there's 2 wah blocks, so you can still have another wah block set up for your regular kind of quacky style wah, and then you just chuck this one on whenever you want this really mid-forward boost. I want to hear from all of you now. Is this something that you do? Do you use the wah? Do you use an EQ block? Do you use a particular drive? What do you use to give your solos a big character boost? Let me know in the comments section below. Until next week, have a great one. Try this up. I'll put the preset up on Axe Change, and I'll play you all out with some more of that example I featured earlier in the video. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.